एक मिनट आप
station.
You were with the Schneider, which year?
Till 2010.
Okay. So you worked with Shalini?
Yeah, Shalini. Yeah, she was my administrative boss. I was directly reporting to Veka.
Okay.
I was taking care of the industry.
I think you were looking up to the industry.
Shall we start?
Yeah, so,
Come, mic,
Okay.
I think this is the first time that we are starting a good 15 minutes before time. Everybody has come, and Delhi set a precedent. I hope all these centers we have this kind of people coming much before time. Which is, thank you all for joining us. This is, some of you have been part of our dialogues. Some of you are coming for the first time. Welcome to everybody. And actually, these skills dialogues are started out of a research project that we had in TimesJobs, where we found that most of the, while getting manpower was a issue with most organizations, but finding the right skills and then getting the right educational qualifications was not the challenge. Finding the right skills to be actually able to implement it all in the organization was one of the biggest challenges that organizations were facing. And with it, you know better than me that the related costs of training, of that gestation period, long gestation periods before candidates start performing within the organizations, these were all very, very critical to organizations. And we said, why don't we, as a job portal, who have candidates on one side and organizations on the other, can we actually bring everybody together on the same page and try and find solutions? Problems, there are many. How can we work towards solutions? And that has been the objective of these skills dialogues. We have addressed the skills issues with the IT industry, the ITES industry. Manufacturing is right now in focus, and we are really pleased that we have the Sharda University who's partnered with us, because one of the critical things that we felt was coming out through these dialogues was that the solutions lie within industry-academia partnerships. And if the academia on one side and the industry on the other side are in active dialogue with each other, solutions are fairly easy to come by. Maybe not immediate solutions, maybe solutions, staggered solutions, but definitely they are in the pipeline. I thought one way of beginning this discussion would be to allow each of you to articulate what is the biggest challenge that you face when it comes to recruitment within your organization. Aarti, maybe we can start with you?
Yeah, sure. So, thanks, Treasury. I think you have set up the agenda, probably. If I see Luminous or Schneider or wherever I work for manufacturing organization, today there is a thirst for organization in manufacturing organization, where we are looking for people from across the level. It's not only engineer, it may start before that also. Some ITIs also we are looking forward. Engineers are still there. But when we go for hiring of graduate engineer trainees, we always make a plan for 1 year for them to be on board. After that, they are going to spend 1 year for the training, or minimum 6 months for the training in each function or where we want to put them. So which is the biggest challenge for us today. The gap is for manufacturing is good A+ colleges. People are really looking forward, but when they come on the floor, after 1 month they feel that okay, it's not their cup of tea. So they are not ready for that kind of role, or maybe we can say it's a kind of social or culturally we have to develop if we are saying gap per se. At the same time, some of the area where we are working, we see that some specific profile for the industry, like if I am industry or battery industry, for example. So if I have to do something in the battery area, I cannot get any person all over India. There is only one institute which is available in South, and that's, we never get students from there, right? So if some institutes, if they're coming up and they're sitting with us and making some projects along with the technical team or R&D team, and we prepare them much before, so that the day they come to us, we can go ahead with that. So first thing is there is a need for sure. Second is there is a gap between skill and availability and what we are looking forward. And definitely we are spending lots of time, lots of money. One person, like if company is doing well, money spending is one can handle. But time one cannot handle, because when we are hiring for the people, those are in manufacturing side, process cannot be stopped. So we have to have a line for that. So we need to develop students from the day one, not only for the skill, but if we can map industry and we go to the industry from the institution side or academia side, and then talk to them like ITI is doing, or some of the NIT, good NIT is also doing. They are coming up, they are doing some projects with us also. So if common colleges where students are tend to stay, because our experience is that A+ or A++ institute students, they generally work for 2 years, then they go for CAT or GMAT, and then they go away from there. And then we train somebody and then we are back. So we have to again hire. So we have to, every year we have to create a pipeline for that. But we are doing the farming kind of thing every year. So we have those kind of challenges which need to be done, because manufacturing is not a very attractive field for the people, which one of the discussion point we are going to discuss today. That's
Sushil, do you like to?
Yeah, sure. So I would agree in that sense, like there is quite a bit of a talent gap that exists today. We recruit talent, at various levels. We take talent from, let's say, right from ITIs to schools. So you take ITI, then you take polytechnic diploma, then you take graduate engineers, and then there are MBAs that we take from these schools and all. Lately what we see is that there has been a struggle, and this has been there for the last good 5-7 years, I would say, in getting people with the relevant skill sets, with the relevant aptitude, with the relevant value set, and the industry mindset, is what I can say. And this has been an ongoing struggle, and we have in our own ways, tried to collaborate with the institutes that we visit regularly, whether these are the B schools or whether these are the engineering colleges, trying to see how best can one contribute to the design of the curriculum that these guys have to make it much more relevant to the kind of expectation that corporates have today. I think the expectations of the industry have also radically changed over a period of time, and radically because earlier I would say the corporates or the companies used to be a little more patient, but given the competition that you have today, the kind of pressure under which the corporates work, the expectation is that any person who comes into the system should be able to contribute day one types. Okay, there isn't enough time to train, to mentor. So what you're expecting is that these youngsters who are coming out of the college are ready to deliver right the next day itself, which means that the knowledge that they have or the skill that they have is able to impact or touch the performance right today types. And I think there's a struggle there. Somewhere the industry needs to take an action, somewhere the academia needs to very proactively address this particular challenge that we face with. In some cases, for instance, in some of the B schools, we very actively worked on an industry mentorship kind of a thing. So we said, look, we are also willing to, offer some of the senior guys as mentors to help these kids to be handholded and make them, understand that this is what the industry today require. I think the change is happening, but it's very gradual. I think what is really required is quite a bit of introspection on the part of the academia to see how best they can make the teaching and the grooming of the students much more relevant, much more quicker, much more faster. I think earlier, there used to be too much of emphasis around conceptual learning, but now it has to be done along with a lot of application orientation. The emphasis which you used to have earlier on summer internships and projects over 4 weeks is not enough today actually. You need a lot more regular touch with industry and the corporate, which means that you must encourage your students to take up more and more of life projects. These schools are moving towards it. I would say even engineering colleges need to move towards it in a much more active fashion in that sense. So you need life projects, you need industry mentorships, you need active participation of the corporates in the design of the curriculum. And there is a genuine challenge. While on the one hand, one sees a mushrooming of colleges and institutions and all that, but the talent that you need is not available. And sometimes you go to some of the best of the B schools and the best of the colleges, the same challenge exists.
Rajiv, did you want to comment?
Yeah, Jashi, and I think what Aarti and Sushil have put in perspective, the issues that are there, the problems that we are facing, all of us. But Jashi, I would like to get into the whole perspective, because if we have what is called a root cause analysis, basically, if we see the bigger picture, lest we lose the sight of in counting the transactional trees, we have to look at the point of view that yes, even if you look at a very macro level, nationally, if we see all across the country, even the government plans that we'll have to have about 500 million people getting into the workforce by say 2022, the skilled workforce that will be required. And there is an annual workforce entry of about 12 million people who have to be upskilled and skilled. And the infrastructure facility in the country anyways is not more than 5.5 to 6 million people can be trained, in fact, given the current level of infrastructure development in the country. Now that is the basis of all our problems. The humongous numbers and the magnitude adds to the complexities also of the problem in itself. And therefore we have to look this whole issue from a very broad perspective. It's not just necessarily that we don't have the right kind of talent being available for the manufacturing sector. Manufacturing sector is no longer the Elizabethan sector, that used to be earlier, that non-glamorous sector all ago, because there's a lot of infusion of technology now. And with this infusion of technology, there's a level playing field across domains, across sectors, because technology is a grand leveler and it's available to you across the shelf. And it's only that few have an obsolescence, this thing of lesser duration, and the others have for a slightly longer duration. But then the obsolescence rate has to be addressed, and technology in itself has to be there, in fact, infused into all sectors of economy. So that is not a real differentiator anymore. So to say that it's manufacturing and non-manufacturing, even in the non-manufacturing sector, you see, this problem of talent crunch is available, because as you rightly said, probably those skills that are required now, in fact, skills now graduate to larger levels of competence, which have skill and, of course, a lot of things more than just the skill. It has the values also to be driven, and the entire knowledge and the skill and the right kind of attitude and aptitude. So that is a larger issue, because of the pace of change that's taken place in the last 10, 12 years. And you remember earlier when we discussed, we touched upon this point that globalization was a business driver earlier, and then technology driver, the Y2K bug, and that this interaction created a lot of turmoil and turbulence. And therefore today in the post-Lehman phase, when we say, the issue is that continual change itself is a biggest challenge today. Technology support is available. From the internet we have moved to the Web 2.0, 3.0 applications. From the ERPs of yesteryears, which are still state-of-the-art technologies, we have the BPPs coming up. So there are technological solutions coming to us. So the real issue is not technology, which is a basic business driver. Along with the other continual change being the business driver, technology in itself is a big driver of business. So the problem lies actually at our understanding of what is the competence that's required today, which is in fact irrespective whether you are in the manufacturing or the non-manufacturing sector. Probably to deal with ambiguity, to deal with a lot of uncertainty, that is now the real issue. So you should have that agility, that be able to adapt, upgrade, modify and change yourself with a very nimble footedness, So you are able to kind of, take decisions even in a state of semi-dark. Now that is the competence which is required all across the sector. Because the business has become so very uncertain, ambiguity has become a major factor in all the businesses. And this recession post-Lehman has really taught us all across the globe that things are not right the way we did. So if we and unless we change the way at which we look at the problems, the solutions would not be coming. We'd be addressing only the symptoms and not the kind of real disease. If we have to address the real disease, we have to understand, let's understand very clearly what is the kind of talent that we require. How do we define, or if not define, at least describe the talent that we want. We all the time say that, and I've been hearing for the last almost 20 years, that, there's a talent crunch and there's fresh talent not available, because it will not be available, imagine. Our infrastructure is only able to provide you 5.5 million skilled workforce, and the intake is almost 12 million people coming in every time. So there's always a gap. So unless and until you kind of create an infrastructure with upskills or skills people to the level of almost 20 million a year, and 20 million is a humongous number. So that is something which we need to address, and that's where what Sushil said was really very relevant, that academia needs to actually transform the way we educate our people. Industry needs to kind of go a step ahead and meet the academia halfway in kind of defining or describing the requirements that we have better collaboration, have better ideas, invest in infrastructure for training and development, and ultimately provide a proper intake and infrastructure which will be able to absorb this level of workforce requirement and workforce entry.
Sure.
Because there will be a lot of people, but not the right people.
That's right. Amarish, let me take this discussion to, let's take it up one level higher. Right? You're saying, as I hear it, it is that there is some education that we had been imparting. There is a lot of change that is happening very fast, and it is the adaptability to change that is the key driver. As I understand, that is what we have been talking about. When you have faced recruitment challenges, what is the biggest challenge that you have here?
I would like to introduce what we are doing in India.
Yeah.
So we are a company who are in power, infrastructure, transmission domain and rail infrastructure. Across India, we have 11 manufacturing units, and we have 4 engineering officers and project management officers. So what I'm trying to say is we are equally present in manufacturing as well as the EPC part of it.
Sure.
Now, in India, the growth is for taking. Growth will happen. But every time we think of in any sector, so I have witnessed this personally. This is my personal experience. So, 2004, when we were looking at hydro as a business growing in India, hydropower infrastructure, then we looked at transfer of technology. And when we looked at transfer of technology, we set up a unit. We have a beautiful unit, and this is one of the best rated units in heavy engineering sector across India. We had to either import expats, or we had to send our people to Europe or Brazil. Now, this is not only, I'm not talking only about engineers.
Yeah.
I'm also talking about workforce. And this was a huge investment we did, transfer of technology. So I witnessed it there. Then we are putting up a steam turbine unit. The same thing happens. Again, I look for, and I'm still talking about the blue collar workers.
Yes.
I'm still not talking about engineers, blue collar workers. The moment we look at blue collar, there's nothing available. You need to get them, people on board. Because now traditionally India had ITIs. ITIs, welders, fitters, machine, it is still running. But the level of education that is imparted in ITIs does not match anywhere. I mean, the difference in the level on a scale of 1 to 20 is if it is 2, your requirement is 20. And it doesn't match anywhere. I looked around India to find a welding institute which can give me welders. It doesn't exist in India. And welding is going to be the technology for the future. You cannot do. I mean, all the big manufacturing industries, they need hundreds and thousands and lakhs of welders, and we don't have anything. So what we do, we get these ideas, send them to Brazil or Europe, train them, bring them now. Yeah? And this is the third one I'm doing is for transport. So we are setting up a coach factory for rail infrastructure, and we'll be doing metro for Chennai. So we'll be manufacturing metro cars in Chennai. Again the same problem. We don't have welders. So get them from ITIs, send them to Brazil. We'll train them, bring them. So, and this has, the journey started, so I've witnessed this in 2004 and 2013, so a decade almost, same thing remains. Nothing has changed. And I still don't find a welding institute that can give me a trained welder. It doesn't exist in India. So this is the problem. I mean, the problem is very much the grassroots. Yeah? It's still about, I'm not talking about engineers. I have, no, there is still, they are also not, I mean, fully equipped, but you still can train them within India and make them ready to perform for future. But this is the problem. You don't have anything like that in India. There's no infrastructure. Manufacturing, no. In India, manufacturing as a sector, you should see it's around 17% of the GDP. Now, going ahead, any developed country you will find 30% of the GDP comes from manufacturing industry. So that way, we are already far behind. If we start to develop and try to catch up with developing nations and the developed countries, so see the gap. And I've not seen anywhere any willingness to.